Shoplifting offences soar to its highest level in 20 years, new figures show. I'm going to read into this more from The Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from The Independent with the headline of Shoplifting offences soar to its highest level in 20 years, new figures show. More than 100,000 more shoplifting offences were recorded in 2023 than the previous year, figures reveal. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share us across social media so others are notified of this video. And this is extremely concerning, to say the least, that these new figures are showing that more than 100,000 more shoplifters. And by the way, this, just for the record, this is ones that are recorded, that have been recorded, put on record. That's not counting ones that have not been recorded. There are lots of, as someone who has worked in retail in the past, I know of some shops and some places where they haven't recorded them simply because they've been too busy or don't have time or whatnot. Not to say that they didn't care about shoplifting, but there are cases out there where they're not even recorded to the police. So these figures could actually be a lot higher than what is stating here. And given the fact that we have a situation now, there's a lot of things that contribute to this. Now, one of the ones makes something very, very clear, that even with a cost of living crisis, even with people struggling, there are still many people who still continue to shoplift. And there are some people who are more worse off than others, but there are some who continue to choose to shoplift because they don't care. They don't care about those consequences. Who will come into the shops and literally try to swipe everything off the shop floor and literally try to make a run for it. And it's so easy for people to say, oh, well, just put a security guard on the front of the door. And it's just like, yeah, well, you got to pay that person to be there. That costs money as well. And you have to pay a security firm to do that as well. And it's just like, and then some stores, they hire a store detective, like an undercover in there, which I think that idea needs to stop. I don't think that's going to stop it, because I think if you actually put an actual person on the front door, you are more likely to intimidate somebody from coming in wanting to steal than you would actually having someone in your shop undercover and actually following someone, and then they end up stealing, and then it's like, part of me feels like that's a bit of a waste of. I don't feel personally that really helps deter shoplifting, because you want to deter it rather than actually catch them in the moment, sort of thing. Right, rather just try to stop them from shoplifting in the first place. But I'm talking about small shops. Obviously, bigger shops obviously have different ways of dealing with this. But yeah, this is it's becoming a problem. And what we need to do is we need to have serious conversations that those who repeatedly shoplift, we need to understand why they shoplift, the situation that they're in, and what we can do to help them to stop them shoplifting. And this is where the humanity of me comes in, as opposed to simply we should just punish them, throw them in the slammer and throw away the keys. No, we need to understand why people are doing what they do, why people are doing what they're doing, why they are shoplifting, and what we can do to help them, and what can we do to get them off that. Is it a case of everyone has different issues, and we need to be able to address these issues and find the best solutions that we can to help them. Like I said, everyone is different. Every case is different. There are obviously, I know we have some cases where people are in a cost of living crisis, and some people are so desperate that they're actually stealing food from supermarkets in order to survive. That's a little bit different, but it is still shoplifting nonetheless. It is still breaking the law. So obviously in that situation, we need to find ways to help find a way around that so that we can provide food for them. If the food bank is not providing enough food for them, then we need to address the issue in that for that person. So we need to have these conversations about what are we doing here, because I just don't think punishing shoplifters is just gonna fix the issue. And I think one of the other things we could do as well, rather than throwing them in jail, considering our jails are quite full, we could confine them to doing a lot of community service. There's always that work as well. So there's a lot of things that we need to discuss with this, but it is a worrying concern, that is for sure. So let's read a bit into it. So shoplifting offences recorded by police in England and Wales have soared to its highest level in 20 years, figures have revealed. So according to the Office of National Statistics, the ONS, shoplifting offences are at the highest level since current records began, with Labour warning our country cannot afford to carry on like this. A total of 430,000 offences were recorded in the year to December 2023, up 37% from 315,000 in 40 in the previous 12 months. So this is the highest figure since current police recording practices began in the year ending in March 2003. The number of offences involved in theft from the person stood at 125,000 in 2023, which was up 18% from 106,000 in 2022, and it is the highest level since 2004. So the data published on Thursday comes after major retailers raised concerns about the rising cost of theft. So Nick Strike from the ONS said in the past 12 months, police recorded crime showed notable increases in robbery, theft from the person, and shoplifting. The latter had risen by more than 100,000 offences, while police have been dealing with the highest level of theft from the persons offended recorded in the 2 decades. The ONS figures gathered from police recorded crime on the annual crime survey for England and Wales also shows the number of robberies rose by 13% last year to 81,000, up from 71,000 in 2022. Yeah, robberies are really scary. Do we have enough police around in England and Wales to protect people from robberies? Are we doing enough to do that? I think that's again we have to ask ourselves, is the police doing enough for a response to that? We could probably argue no. Is this the fault of the government because of their reductions in police forces and police stations? Because 14 years of Tory austerity have led us to less police officers and less police stations as well. Let's not forget that as well. Very, very easy for people to forget those things as well. So I believe those may have contributed to this rise as well. However, this is still 26% lower than the year ending in March 2003, which is 110,271. So meanwhile, crimes involving knife and sharp instruments were up 7% to 49,000 offences in 2023. The rates are still 3% lower than the pre-pandemic high of 51,000 offences in the year ending March 2020. So, yeah, knife crime is a major issue. How do we stop people carrying knives? What are we doing about that? Why do people carry knives? People carry it out of fear. They're worried about fear. So the obvious answer is obviously there could be gang-related issues because we do have gangs in certain towns and cities and whatnot. So we need to find out. We need to address these issues when it comes to gangs, and we need to find ways of breaking these kind of gang things. We also need to people to understand. We need to avert people from carrying these weapons because they carry them because they want to protect themselves, or they're scared about their well-being in the area that they're in, which is why they carry the knives that they carry. So it is a cause for concern. Yeah, and then it's not just a case of just taking the knives off them. We need to look at it from a community point of view in those areas of where the most knife crime is taking place. Why is this happening in these communities? What are not just police doing about it, but what are local communities? What are parents? What are schools and education? All these questions need to be asked in certain areas where the highest amount of knife crime is taking place. So we need to find ways to reduce that. So, however, knife crime data does not include offences recorded by Greater Manchester Police and Devon and Cornwall due to problems recording data. So the figures come after the Co-op reported record amounts of retail crime in 2023, with 336,000 instances of shoplifting, abuse, violence and antisocial behaviour across their 2,400 stores, a shocking 44% increase in the previous year. So lots of Co-ops have been targeted by shoplifters. Meanwhile, the chairwoman of John Lewis, Dame Sharon White, last year warned shoplifters are becoming an epidemic, with staff having to put up with abuses and attacks by thieves. John Lewis and the Co-op are among a group of UK's biggest retailers which have agreed to fund a police operation to crack down on shoplifting dubbed Project Pegasus, which launched last year. The initiative was labelled a step change in the fight against retail crime when it was announced by Police Minister Chris Phillips last autumn, with specialist officers set to analyse CCTV pictures and facial recognition technology to get a better understanding of shoplifting operations. However, the Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said the latest figures expose the scale of the Conservatives' failure in law and order, while criminals are just getting away with it. Despite repeated warnings from retailers, communities, and from Labour that action was needed to tackle soaring shoplifting abuse affecting our town centres, these figures show that shoplifting has surged by a further 37% in the last 12 months, alone to its highest ever recorded level, with numerous consequences for our town centres and high streets, she said. And this will also drive more and more retailers and more businesses to say, you know what, rather than have a shop, let's just go online instead so we can avoid this. Because that's and then it means one less shop on your high street as well. You know, especially if you're a local business, if you're a local one in your area. Like, it makes you say, what's the point? What's the point being on the high street when the stuff in my shop is just going to get stolen? It's better off just doing it online these days. At least it won't get stolen. And that creates the mindset of a lot of businesses as well. And it just means, that there's less choice on our high streets, more boarded up shops, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. The Labour frontbencher also hit out at raising knife and gun crime despite repeated calls for action by victims, families and communities, with many crimes going unsolved, including 74% of burglaries. She added 2 million crimes were dropped with no suspects being identified, including a shocking 74% of burglaries. That is the shameful Tory legacy on criminal justice. Our country cannot afford to carry on like this. No, we cannot. But it is a major issue, that is for sure, guys. Shoplifting, robbery, abuse of staff, all this stuff. Highest level in 20 years. It's not good. It's easy for us to stay on the sidelines. More needs to be done, but but it also comes down to, and like I said, 14 years of austerity, the cuts for police force, the cuts of police stations up and down the country, because there's less of them now than there was 14 years ago. There's no debates about that. With less of that means that it makes it, and it's adding on to cost of living crisis as well, putting people in situations where it's much easier for people to steal. And this is all, and you have to remember, these are only offences that have been recorded. That's not the ones that are not recorded by people as well. There's also that situation as well. It's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. And there's only so much that communities can do. And like, I know we have our differences with the police, but the police need to do more. They need to be like, I hope that their project is going to help crack down on shoplifting, but will it be enough? I don't know. But we definitely need more police officers, and I do think more police officers, especially around town centres and high streets, just their presence being around there does even that helps deter people from shoplifting, because the presence of a police officer deters people from actually wanting to steal. The actual presence of them. And like I said, as someone who's worked in the retail before, whenever police officers come past shops that I've worked in or whatever, I get a sense of I feel a lot more safer when they're there, because they're just literally around the corner if we need them, sort of thing. But it's lots of questions, not enough answers, not enough solutions are being done, that's for sure. So let's hope that when a Labour government comes in, if it's likely to be a Labour government, they will be able to have better action plans to dealing with all these issues in crime. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of this? Shoplifting offences soaring to its highest level in 20 years, increase in robbery, increase in knife crime. What do you guys make of these numbers? Do they sound realistic to you where you are? Do you think more needs to be done? Do you agree with me that more needs to be done? What ideas and options do you guys think should be done based on what I've said and what we've read in here? Let me know your thoughts and more in the comment section down below. If you found this video informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video, and subscribe because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content there as well. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope to catch you all very, very soon.